Rough Cuts, Adam Stanczyk here for a review of a video game. I wanted to review a kind of unknown, little-known, under-known Zelda game for the original Game Boy called Zelda Link's Awakening. I have it here in a Game Boy Color, which there was the original Game Boy, everybody knows it, clunky. Then there was the Game Boy Pocket, which was small and tiny, and then a little bit fatter. The Game Boy Color came in this beautiful purple color. Now, Link's Awakening actually came out for the original Game Boy. It wasn't in color. And then I used to play it in the Game Boy Color. This I had to get off of, I bought this from a pawn shop, actually. But Link's Awakening. Now, this review is not just of the game. It's also of the way that I'm going to play it, which is on the Super Game Boy. This I had to buy off of eBay. I dropped it. Put your Game Boy game in front of there, right in there. Hammer it down into your Super Nintendo. Beautiful. This is also partially for all the people who gave me crap, or the one person who gave me crap last time for playing on an emulator. Why would I buy a crappy game that I hate? But if you want me to go full out, why don't I play this game for you? Straight up capture card, actual Super Nintendo. Look at that. Well, I guess this shows the point. I was trying to remember whether or not Game Boy, Super Game Boy came out after the Game Boy Color. But when I put this Game Boy Color card in, it automatically put like the Knights themed. This is Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. So it seems to be after Game Boy Color came out, this one customized, personalized for this game. Back on point. So with this version of Zelda Link's Awakening, this was before they released the special Game Boy Color version of it. So the colors are kind of automatically selected based off of like what Nintendo thinks, but they just do like a color matching. Let's go to my finish game. So they do it green. You got your sword. You'll see. Let me see if I pick it up. Do I have my thing on? Yeah, it stays the same color when you pick it up. So they just do green, everything green. But you'll see that it also gives you like the little preview Game Boy menu. But if you hit R and L on the Super Nintendo controller, it's customizable. Super Game Boy does this. And you can go and change the background just to have all black, which is normally how I played it. There's a bunch of different weird little side things. Look at that. Looks like you're looking down in a room. This one I think is all sandy. Yeah, like you're underground. Something with cats. Meow. Now you also can choose the colors. So you don't have to use a Nintendo one. You can kind of flip through and you can be like, that looks the best. That's not a bad one either. They got a lot of them though. You can actually do the straight up black and white. Or like more Game Boy-y. I could spend a long time just going through and picking out what colors I think look best with Zelda. One of the things that makes Link's Awakening an amazing Zelda game, the plot line starts out similar to every Zelda game, kind of, which is that you have Link wakes up. Well, okay, this I guess it's a little different, but Link, in this one, Link wakes up. And in Link to the Past, he also wakes up. But this time he wakes up, and he's in a bed in the house, which I guess happens sometimes, and yeah, it happens a lot in Zelda games. But he has to go to the beach and get his sword. Yeah, you always start without a sword. You have to go get your sword. But it's like not your typical. There's no Zelda. There's no character named Zelda. I believe the chick's name is Marin, and then her dad's name is Terran, and it kind of looks like Mario. Maybe the chick's name is Terran. But anyway, he has to go and basically go and wake this thing called the Windfish, which is like an evil fish monster that is terrorizing everybody by like making these nightmares come and all this craziness happens. And so he has to go and get these instruments together. So like at the end of each level you get an instrument. And the idea is that, let me see if it says her name. I don't know my name, but your name is Magus because you were a nerdy kid when you started this game. Maybe her dad will talk. But anyway, So you gotta go and wake the windfish is the whole plot line of the game. One of the first things you get, one of the first items you get, is a feather, which lets you jump. And in any of this style Zelda game, in fact, in any Zelda game, there's no jumping. Now, they use this again. There are a few. They did like a cape that lets you jump, and they've used this Rock's Feather before to let you jump, but not in any mainstream, real popular Zelda games. And, but that kind of changes it. That you can jump like this. Let me go into a castle while we're just talking around. But, another thing cool about the mechanics of this game is that your A and B buttons, you can assign whatever thing you want to it. So, you don't have to have your sword equipped. You can decide that I want to have the boomerang on my A button and have the running boots on my B button. Or you can say, I'd rather jump with A and boomerang with B, because it's more comfortable to jump with A. And you don't have to have a sword. And if you have your shield, you can have a shield on. If you have the shield, you can shield with that and throw that, you know, bam, bam. I never use a shield, though, if you have the choice. I mean, in the Zelda games where the shield's automatic, that's convenient. But, you know, you don't have to... In the Game Boy, you had two buttons to choose from. You had A and B, so, like, they had to come up with a creative way to let you be able to do everything. So you just hit the button you want to assign the item to, and it puts it in your backpack. And, but I really loved that. It actually... And I feel like in the Zelda games that came after this, they really embraced the you know, assigning items to the spots. But the ability to have two different items selected, like, because in Link to the Past, which actually came out after this, if I'm correct, you could assign only one item, and then you still would have your normal things assigned. And then in Ocarina of Time, which many people consider to be the best Zelda game, you could assign, like, a bunch of, you can have 3 or 4, I think it was 3, yeah, you could 3, because up C did, like, the looking thing. But you could have 3 things assigned. But in this one, the 2 things assigned was amazing, because you could say, equip the bow and arrow to the one, and you can equip the bombs. And if you had that both equipped, and you had A and B at the same time, bomb arrows. And it uses one of each. But that's like a little, you don't need it for anything, it's just a little Easter egg, but bomb arrows. They ended up bringing that back in another Zelda game, in Twilight Princess. And I think maybe in that game they told you about it. I picked up that little acorn that's making the music play. It's like a defense acorn. It makes it you take less damage, and if you take enough damage, it goes away. I also wanted to show you that they had, and this was in the original Zelda game, the original Zelda for the NES. When you went in some of the little dungeons inside castles, it'd be like a little side-scroller area, and it still was your same sprite, but you would have there'd be gravity holding you down. But, like, they explore that a little bit more and have, like, little mini side-scroller missions. On this part, you'd fall down in this pit after a boss fight. But it was kind of cool. In Zelda 2, they had, like, the whole game was up. They had the map view, and then you got into a level, and it'd be side-scroller. And, in my opinion, that was a little frustrating to have, like, a side-scroller, all side-scroller Zelda. But I like this, like, having little parts where it's actually technically, I mean, like, it's just the same engine. You know, because you can look up and stuff. It just, they basically have walls and you can jump. I can see how they programmed it, but it's a creative way to make little underground side-scroller sections. Was I off subject? Maybe. So I like the button combinations. These little things, when you get halfway through a dungeon, they take you out to the outside of it. It also has the ocarina flute whistle thing that you're used to from every Zelda game ever. You have your instruments that you collected. You can see this is a game that's completed. You have your magic powder that they had in Link to the Past, and they've had in some of the other ones. Magic wand that they've had in a lot of them. So it's the same basic Zelda thing where you get an item in a dungeon, then you use that item to beat the next dungeon, and then you can unlock secrets and stuff. I like this one because it had a lot of the same enemies and styles from Zelda, from all the Zelda games, but the storyline is way different. And I feel like with a Zelda game, basically, you get a different retelling of the same basic story.